speaker joining us on the main stage is one of the top executives behind the pop culture sensation Bored Ape Yacht Club. Speaking as to us now on the iconic NFT collection and how it rocketed to global domination, please welcome Yuga Lab CEO Nicole Muniz in conversation with Yasmin Gagne from Fast Company.
Hello, Voyagers. Boy, am I glad to see you. Voyagers, make your way down the hill. What? To the sphere.
I mean, a few years ago, we could barely put a few hundred people in one spot. Now we're running thousands of people through your browser flawlessly.
Impressive. It was really easy to navigate.
It's boss fight time.
I think the future of this metaverse is very promising and it's about to be groundbreaking.
This was like above my own expectation.
They killed this. They killed this.
Voyagers, see you on the other side.
Welcome to the other side. Just kidding, we're at Web Summit.
Yeah. One day.
So, before we talk about the video, I want to take a step back and just talk about NFTs. Now, something I see on the internet all the time is people saying that when you buy an NFT, you're really just buying an overpriced JPEG. What are critics missing?
Well, I think... Wow, it's weird hearing yourself.
Yeah.
Apologies. Ultimately, I think what's different between an NFT and just a typical JPEG is the rights and the fact that you have true ownership of that asset. And now that can mean that you just have effectively a JPEG, right? Like that might be all that matters to you and that's the only value that you see in it. But you can do so much more. Not only is it provable and, it's effectively yours, as I mentioned, and everything is on the blockchain, but also what we've done with Bored Ape Yacht Club and then later with CryptoPunks and Meebits is giving commercial IP rights as well. And so that exclusive ownership is something that is really unique to the space and it empowers consumers to actually shift into owners. And that's a paradigm shift overall.
What are some of the things that people have done with those commercial rights? Like just to give our audience examples.
I mean, it's amazing to watch. We were just talking about this backstage,
yeah.
And you have Jenkins the Valet, which is one Bored Ape in the collection, and they've created an entire media company with it, and built on creativity and storyline and expanding the Bored Ape universe. But then you also have things like what Snoop has done, and with Dr. Bombay, and you have Bored and Hungry, which is an awesome fast food chain in Los Angeles, and I believe they're expanding to other markets. I like it more than In-N-Out. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. And even more.
Now, you launched Bored Ape Yacht Club. It went super well. I know Mutants came next. Explain to us how you sort of decided to grow Yuga Labs after that initial launch?
Well, I mean, I think so. Yuga started as, really two friends, two co-founders that wanted to tell a really fun and silly story. And Bored Ape Yacht Club was the beginning of that. And it started really, I mean, if you go back to the beginning, it started with $200. It eventually became part of the zeitgeist and broke through.
$200 was the initial price.
Was the initial price to ape into the BOIC. If you only had a time machine, right?
Yeah, I know.
But so once, with the success of Bored Ape Yacht Club, we were able to really build an expansive brand and growing that with mutants, as you mentioned, but then really thinking through, well, actually, events, how can we bring people together? We're seeing so much camaraderie on the Discord, let's have Ape Fest. That's thousands of people coming into New York City once a year for, performances and live events and an entire experience, frankly. And then it grew from there. We had the opportunity to acquire CryptoPunks and Meebits and are building our metaverse.
So I actually want to talk a little bit about acquiring CryptoPunks and Meebits. I think there's something that confuses a lot of people when they think about NFTs, when they think about the ethos of Web3, where they say, Web3 is decentralized, right? But then there's one company that owns like the three most valuable, I think, NFT projects. How do you sort of think about that philosophically?
Well, we are a company. We're not trying to hide the fact that we're a company that has staff, that has shareholders, that has a vision for things that we want to build beyond, BAYC. That is true. I think what gets kind of convoluted sometimes is the philosophies around Web3 when you think about identity and privacy and decentralization and interoperability. Those are philosophies that I think are actually very true to Yuga and everything that we're doing, because everything that we build is centered in ownership. When you think about identity and privacy and interoperability, all of these things are about ownership. If you own something, right? If you own a shirt in real life, you can do whatever you want with it. That's your shirt. And what Web3 allows you to do in the internet space is it allows you to own. You can now not only own your identity, who you are, but the character that you present yourself, or the assets that character might wear, and where it goes. So we have a vision of a future where people can own these assets, whether they're NFTs or they're digital collectibles or whatever you want to brand them. And you can then take them wherever it is that you want because they're yours, and you can build on them and you can monetize.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, how does Yuga Labs make money from Bored Ape Yacht Club? I know Yuga Labs doesn't take a cut of any project started based on an ape, right?
Yeah, we're, I know we've talked before this as like Web3 Disney being the analog, but in many ways we're a mirror because of what we're doing with IP rights. All of those IP rights are actually granted to the member and to the owner, and we have none of those rights, and we don't actually take a licensing fee. Mm-hmm. So it's a completely novel idea and new to in general. In terms of how we make money, well, we have obviously the things that get the most headlines, which is the mints. So we'll have a mint price. For instance, with BAYC, it was a mint of $200 each. And then we have secondary sales. There's a royalty that you can apply, and that goes back to the creators. And that's with every single asset that's sold. And then we're also diversifying our revenue stream. And so we're building new things in the future that have more traditional revenue models if you start to think about entertainment and creating experiences.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Now, there's a meme out there, maybe you've seen it. The caption is, "All my apes are gone." And it stems from the fact that a lot of people have had their apes stolen or other NFTs stolen. Apes is kind of a stand-in there. Or have had related security issues. Is that something Yuga Labs is thinking about? I mean, do you see that as under your purview? How do you think about that issue?
Well, I think as leaders in this space, we need to be thinking about how we can help onboard the next 100 million people into Web3. That's really a true mission of us at the company. And part of that is going to be lowering the barrier to entry. It's hard right now, not just when you think about fraud and fear, but also just like actually hard.
Yeah, like to buy an ape is difficult.
It's difficult. I mean, I think it's like, you have to have a wallet and you don't necessarily know how to set it up, and there's just so much fear wrapped into the entire experience.
Yeah.
And when you think about what Web 2 got right, it's easy and it's safe. And those are two things that we want to start bringing into Web 3 so that people can feel comfortable getting into this experience.
Now, Yuga Labs has grown. I mean, guys, you know this. Like 18 months ago, Yuga Labs didn't even exist, right? And now you're growing a huge company, a $4 billion company. You raised a $450 million seed round led by A16Z. The company achieved the $4 billion valuation. What comes next? How are you using that money?
Well, I mean, we want to build and we want to grow, and we want to hire. I mean, I'm looking at you. If you want to build some of the craziest things on the internet and wrapped up in creativity and storytelling and lore and mythology and fun and really stupid, then you should come work at Yuga, because we are trying to hire the best and brightest minds to build the next phase of the internet.
Are you primarily hiring engineers? I'm asking for the audience here.
We are hiring engineers, but we're hiring more than that, because what we're thinking about is the Web3 through line across an entire ecosystem that across different categories. So, think about live experiences, lifestyle, infrastructure, technology. So how do we build all of that? We need smart people. We need smart people with differentiated backgrounds.
How would you describe the different communities within Yuga Labs? And I say this because Bored Ape Yacht, having an ape will grant you access to their Discord. Having a pump will grant you access to a different Discord. What's the vibe?
I mean, it's just so cool. Nobody would believe me. You guys have to just go into the Discord and see it for yourselves. It is so incredibly wholesome. Like last night we were at a sort of spur of the moment community event here in Lisbon, and it's just warm, and people are so generous with their time. And I was talking to an ape last night, and they were talking about being at Ape Fest and how it was an emotional moment. Because these are people. This is the thing that most people don't understand. You're living and breathing these communities. These are people that are your friends. You talk to them all the time. Imagine someone that you Slack with every day that you may never have met in person, but you talk to them every day. That's what is happening here. These are real communities of real people sharing their lives together. And it's a lot of dog photos and baby photos and, just like true connection.
Yeah. I like that. Now I want to talk a little bit about the video we saw,
yes,
you all saw right before this, which was really cool, very impressive, great soundtrack. But tell me what it was of. Tell me what it was.
That was sort of a mashup. So that was a rip that was put together. There's a combination of the Other Side original trailer that we used to launch Other Side, announce Other Side, the metaverse. And then we also have a Coda teaser that was released a little while ago that is beginning to tell the story of the Codas and their mythology. And then we also had the first trip, which was a almost 5,000 person live event inside of Other Side, done with our partners at Probable. And that was capturing that event.
Now, tell me just broadly, what is the Other Side?
Well,
what is the world?
Well, the Other Side is it is a world. So we have 100,000 plots of land. They're differentiated, completely different environments. It is a world. It's a game world at its very base layer. You can go in. There will be a storyline. There will be a gameplay loop. There's things you can do. But going back to what we were talking about earlier in ownership, it is our belief that in Web3 you should be able to have true ownership not only over your assets but also your identity. And so that also means that in our metaverse, in our world, you can be whoever it is that you want to be, and you can do much of whatever it is that you want to do. And so that means that all characters are welcome. So it's not just for Yuga properties. It's not the Bored Ape metaverse. It's not the CryptoPunks metaverse. It's not the Meebits metaverse. It's a metaverse for everyone because that's what we believe is important in Web3. And so all characters welcome. And then on top of that, you can build, and you have ownership over the things that you build in that space.
So I guess what you're saying is it's interoperable, right?
Yes. Yeah, so it'll be interoperable. We're building with open object standards, and we're going to be releasing our ODK, our other side development kit, soon. And with that, the belief is that you will be able to build for other side, and then those things can then go into other metaverses, and ideally, things that you build in other metaverses will come into ours.
That makes sense. I'm curious, do you have a timeline for all this?
Yes.
Are you?
Well, we wouldn't be able to build it if we didn't have a production calendar.
What are some of the other things we can look forward to from Yuga Labs this year? Or I don't know if it may not be coming this year. Other side may not be coming this year. That's not what I was implying with that question.
Oh, I didn't take it that way, but thank you for correcting it, because that's what the headline would be.
Exactly.
The headline would be that. No, we have a lot of really fun stuff that is coming this year. Truly, truly stupid. It's just stupid. I mean, one of the things that's the most fun part of my job, so last Friday we had a leadership offsite. We all just sat in a room in New York and just talked about all the things that we're working on. And it's the most fun seeing early prototypes and early demos and animatics, and you're just like, this is so dumb. And it is awesome. And that's part of it too, is Web 1 was fun and silly, and we all got so serious that we want to bring the fun back to the internet. And that's a big part of the spirit and the DNA of our culture.
I want to actually go back to a story you told me a while ago, and it was about the genesis of the project.
Mm-hmm.
And the co-founders told me that originally they wanted to do a series of digital artworks inspired by Miro, the artist. You may have.
I mean, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
And what did you say to them?
So going backwards, one of the things that was the unlock, well, my hypothesis, the unlock for why Bored Ape Yacht Club became the cultural juggernaut that it is today is because, one, we provided utility and we provided ownership rights. And that's, fundamentally subversive for the entire space. Utility was the thing that perked my interest. So our two co-founders, they had this idea for these Maru NFT, this set of NFT collections, and then that was going to be, a collection.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they would be a key to unlock this shared interactive art mural that people could do together. The utility I thought was really cool. The fact that you could use your NFT as a key to do something else was really interesting because it's a unique identifier. It can actually be a way of saying, you can prove your identity and authenticate with it. What I said is that people are going to draw penises. And I was told not to tell this story in front of all of these people. But that was it. I was like, look, this is internet culture.
If you put, a whiteboard out
exactly,
and gave people markers,
they're going to draw penises. And that's what happened. That's what people did. And so they reverse engineered the story from there, which was, okay, well, if people are going to draw penises, where are they going to do that? They're going to do that in a dive bar bathroom. If it's a dive bar bathroom, where is that? Well, obviously that's going to be in a swamp, but we're going to call it a yacht club. And then it's going to be for apes because that's who bought into crypto early. But because they bought into crypto early, they're just shitposting on Twitter all day because they're bored. So that's the story of the Bored Ape Yacht Club really fast.
Well, I think that's a great place to end. We sort of reverse engineered this by starting with the future and coming back to the beginning. But thank you all so much for coming to the panel, and thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you all.